Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see our B3 is a full roller. Got our parts in from Hobby Action and Go Fast the other day. Got a lot of that together. A main order finally showed up to get our spring cups and the shaft I needed. So I was able to get the shock package together. I copied exactly what's on my B7 and put it on this. So everything seemed to work out. So painted a body pretty quick, stickered it up, don't care because it's going to be a racer body, but I do have a spare just in case I ever want to retire this to the shelf and spend a little bit more time and make a little bit nicer body. But yeah, it is all done. So got to do a little bit of work on some of the camber, and I think we'll be all right, but we'll get that figured out. Do have our factory work shock tower come in with our B6 wing mount, so that's why there's not a wing on there, but we are going to use, I think, a B7 wing and get that on there. So I think that'll look pretty good. Plus it has like the drop down on the side, so with the B6 wing mounts coming off, it'll sit right in the center here. That's why I have usually flat wing mounts on the other one, because they move out and usually end up in here, like on our Cougar. But using B6 wing mounts, that's not going to be an issue. So we'll get that on there and that should be good to go. Electronics should arrive. I believe the motor comes tomorrow and the servo comes Saturday. Have the ESC, got to order some wire. Well, I tried to order some wire and nothing would be here, so I'm just going to pick it up at Moore. So probably won't have this car ready by the weekend, but we'll get everything together and probably have it ready by Sunday. So we'll get it all finished. Do a little video there to show everyone what we got. But the front end bolted right up using the +5 spring cup on there. Blue springs, 1.9's front, 1.9's rear. 0 offset spring cup in the rear, but a +4 eyelet instead of a +2, went +4 on that. And 30 weight oil around, all around. Was going to put 27.5 in the rear, but I think I will kind of leave it. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it feels pretty plush. Man, maybe 27.5 in the rear. We'll see. We'll run it. Get a chest protector on there once we get our servo and all of our electronics mounted. But you know, the front and the bumper's brand new, chassis is brand new. The plate is off one of our salvage cars, and then obviously the rear end is, but I can't find a rear plate. So someone will re-release it eventually, and I'll probably just get a new one on there as well. So yeah, in the rear, everything worked out great. In the rear, the fan +1.5 CVDs work good. Transmission's nice and smooth because it's been rebuilt. We'll set the diff once we actually get stuff in there. And then spacing out the camber link in the back just barely clears the shock spring, but it clears it. So Factory Works does offer, when you buy a rear, like the rear carbon shock tower for the big bores with the B6 wing mount, they do offer, I think it's a 4mm carbon spacer that goes in between the shock tower and chassis to space us a little bit more forward. That way you don't have like any angle. It'll probably put it straight up and down. I don't mind the angle, and everything works and doesn't interfere. So I am probably going to leave the spacer out, and then maybe eventually I'll put the spacer back in. We'll see. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to try to figure out, like, I think I'm going to order a V2. I do actually have a V2 top shaft, I think, from a fan kit. So what I'm trying to do is I want to get an Octalock on this. I'll need the pads, though. So I'll have to get pads and the V2 upper. Maybe I can order the conversion kit. Do it that way, because then I get a bunch of Octalocks. I get the pads, I get everything. And if I have a top shaft, it should maybe bolt right up to this thing. So old school RPM gear cover on there. So we'll run that on there. And then I just use some old RC10 wheels that are kind of all hashed out. But this is what I put on to usually set ride height and get all that worked out, as well as, you know, camber, toe in, toe out, all that stuff. So the back looks good. I think the front I'll have to put my camber gauge and stuff. My toe looks fine. My camber looks a little bit off. It looks like it's at exactly 0 or maybe even +1. So we got to get these tires in just a little bit to get that steering a little bit more aggressive on there. But our B3 is completely done. So excited. Got to get... oh, and I did order a J. Halsey battery strap too. So they make and that was off Factory Works website. So I forgot about that, but I did order that as well. It's a little bit wider than what we get just with the normal battery strap. Yeah, I got some crap in here because I was reaming out holes for cooling my ESC. So we'll get the Halsey strap in there for this. What else was I going to do? Oh, I got to get the foam in here. So I'll get my Shorty LiPo. Usually I like the LiPos like all the way to the front. So I will put it all the way to the front, put some foam spacers in there, and then I'll make some different foam spacers to move it back. I know some put like, it's probably like 3/8 of an inch spacer in the front sometimes. I go full forward, so that seems to work, at least at more. So I'll try that and adjust as necessary. Get our full-size servo in there. So the ProTech, got to find servo horn. So I was looking at my B5, and I think the EXO servo horn I have on that will work well on this. So I'm going to get one of those ordered. But man, this thing is, I mean, it's smooth. So not a ton of droop out of our rear shocks, but we don't need a ton of droop over at Moore. So like I said, it seems the lower you go, the faster they are. I know Brian's Craft 22 Roar Championship car is slammed to the ground almost on his setup. So we're gonna try to do the same. See what we can get in there and get stuff situated and run this thing. But I'm kind of excited. This has turned out well with the big bores and the shock package and everything else. And like I said, the fan reproduction parts have all bolted together. Whether like this is a stock shock tower, it's a stock steering, but the bulkhead, arms, all that bolted up just fine. Same with everything in the rear end, as far as the rear tower, using a stock trainee, using stock rear arms, but we're using new hubs from Fan. And yeah, it worked out well. I think the only thing I see is I gotta get some longer screws for the transmission brace a little bit, but other than that should do it there. And some ball cups eventually when someone makes some ball cups. I was gonna put regular RC10 ones on there, but they're not as heavy duty as these. They're the Fan reproductions, and I'm not worried about them popping off, but they don't look as cool as the bigger, thicker ones. So I'm gonna leave those on there for now until I can get some reproductions. And yeah, that brings us basically to a full roller B3 there. And like I said, I'm going to get the electronics ready. I don't know when my tower's coming in, so I want to run the wires obviously through the back end here. So switching out the tower, I need to wait for the Factory Works one to come in, which it may be here by Saturday. So I'll check tracking on that tomorrow. I just didn't check that one today. And that'll give us our battery strap. I already have the terminal soldered on for the battery for the Reedy. Just need to get some longer wire for the motor and get this thing set up. So it won't be this weekend that we'll be racing it, but we'll get it together hopefully this weekend, and then maybe take it the following weekend out to Moore. Get some laps on this thing. So the next thing on the table, those of you guys see it right over there. Our Triple X is getting ready. I have everything cleaned up. Literally all I need is the bulkhead. I do need an upper pin, but I can get most of the car together and slide that pin in later on there. So I'm excited to get that thing's all cleaned up, almost ready to go. So we'll get that cleaned up. I got to get the tires in acetone. I'll probably do that tomorrow to peel those off and pick up some slicks for that, as well as our Double X4 four-wheel drive buggy. I'll pick up a pair of slicks for that as well, so I can get those all mounted up. But yeah, our B3 turned out all right and ready to go. So again, guys, like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know what you think of the build. And we'll see you on the next one.